we were just brewing in the back of a house, and we kind of crowdfunded the first round of brewing. We signed up 100 people that paid around $300 for 12 weeks of beer. And so that was our first miniature raise, was $30,000. And we used that to buy some equipment and some bottles and employ a couple of people and everything. And so we were delivering beer to people's homes, and that was when we were, developing our flagship brands. We didn't have any recipes or brands at the time, so we were just mostly making IPAs, and we used to put the bottles all had a little tag on the top, like a little rubber band and a kind of a mini Christmas card, and it had a little feedback form inside it. And so people had all prepaid, and you'd get a 6-pack every week, and very raw, very fresh beer. And then people just kind of told us what they liked and didn't like, and we kind of developed the beer on that. And then as we got better at making beer, that was when we started making different styles. And then when Matt came in, he could make anything on earth. And so we were always in that mentality, and Beer Club still goes today. So it was more the timing of things. Kenya is, as I said, the monopoly in the 94%. It's very difficult to get a license. When we got our license, that was the 8th license issued in 100 years. And it took 2 years to do it. And that already nearly killed me. And I thought I was going to be killed by, various players in the market throughout that time. And anyways, we got the license, and it's a long, arduous process. And then we launched the business in February 2020. And so we had one glorious month of bars being open. And at the time, I actually told the sales team, no retail. We're just focusing purely on bars. Bars is where it's at. That's where you build a beer brand. And then obviously all the bars shut down. So in the way that the laws and the curfews were in Kenya in 2020, breweries were allowed to be open. So we were allowed to continue manufacturing, and retail outlets were open. We were only able to sell our beers in supermarkets and through Uber Eats and the equivalent, e-commerce platforms here. And but we could also sell retail at the brewery. So you could come to the brewery and buy a 6-pack, retail. And so there's a car park in front of our brewery, and about 6 months into COVID, October 2020 was when the first ban on bars was lifted here, and then it was subsequently reintroduced. But in October 2020, November, maybe it was the end of October, by then the car park in front of the brewery had already kind of become a bar. On a Friday, the car park was full, and people would come out of their cars and walk up to the brewery and buy 2 bottles and then go back to their car and sit in their car and drink. And I won't comment on the drinking and driving culture in Kenya and how everybody got home. But anyways, it had kind of became a known spot in our area. We also brew just outside of Nairobi in a town called Kikuyu, and it's cool to have a brewery there. And so when the bars reopened, and also at that time we were very desperate for cash and any kind of way to stay alive, so we just immediately, the day the bars opened, we were like, yes, so before COVID we hadn't had it, but we had taps in there. We had some tables and stuff like that, stools and stuff, but we had no bar staff or servers or bar manager or stock controllers or any of the things that I now know are important features of running a bar. And I was just telling everyone, just now, tonight we're all bartenders and, collect cash. And anyways, we've learned a few lessons, but that was kind of how it came. And then it was because of Beer Club that we were in the mentality of just making new beer every week. And then we started putting the new beers out in the bar, and we started getting just much better feedback in terms of Beer Club is like, it was about 99% expats, and then the bar at the brewery is about 99% local Kenyan, Kikuyu, Nairobi residents. So then that was started, the kind of, I would say, of our beers, that the expats kind of drove the IPA development, and Kenyans have driven the other beers, the lager and the Belgian triple, and the other stuff that we've done has been driven by Kenyan consumers. Yeah.